I didn't want people to just look at me like I'm some cripple.
The more she grows, the more the bones grows.
I'm having much hope that she's no longer gonna suffer.
From 4 years of not knowing, it just happened. We had our diagnosis.
October 2019, the world blissfully unaware of the pandemic that would soon change life in ways no one could have imagined. A motley crew of filmmakers, clinicians, communicators, patient advocates, and activists from across the globe embark on a rare quest, an impossible mission to find the missing, the undiagnosed, the unidentified.
The Tin Soldiers Global FOP Patient Search is a program that is really directed to finding people with FOP and trying to then connect them onto pathways to care.
Fibrodysplasia Ossificans Progressiva, or FOP, is one of the world's most rare conditions. The genetic disorder causes ligaments, tendons, and muscles to slowly turn to bone.
This causes all kinds of problems with movement.
People with FOP are locked into an external skeleton.
I can only imagine it's the most devastating condition because you don't know how you're going to lose function, you don't know when you're going to do it, but what you know for sure is that the things you take for granted every day of moving freely will slowly disappear.
It's estimated that a child with FOP is born every 44 hours and that globally, over 7,000 people are living without a diagnosis.
Not having a diagnosis is a tragedy in its own right because you can't give the family any idea of the future.
Their search for people with FOP takes the Tin Soldiers team to the unlikeliest of places.
If you were to picture a haystack and picture the bit that you'd never get to, this is that piece.
Dr. Scott and the team believe that in this tiny town, they may have discovered the first multi-generational family with FOP known on the African continent.
Finding them here, it's a bit like a miracle. How does that even happen? So it's a very exciting day.
Dan maak ek nou maar so my shots en dan skiet ek maar net.
Iets van jou postuur werk daarvoor.
A former professional pool player, 24-year-old Rian, is full of surprises.
Dis moeilik, maar dis vir my eintlik lekker om vir die mense te wys ja, ek lyk nie normaal nie, maar ek is baie slimmer as wat enigiemand dink ek is. Ek kan baie meer met my hande doen as party ander mense. Hulle kan nie heeltemal reguit nie.
Rian's can-do attitude belies the fact that he has lost much of his ability to move to FOP.
Enkels maak vir my so. Hulle is redelijk vas, nee.
Ja.
Ek kan sien jou hande, jy werk met jou hande.
Ja.
His place of work? A mechanics and engineering workshop, where Rian holds his own alongside his brother Herky and the other mechanics.
Ek verstom hulle elke dag, want ek doen elke dag iets niets wat hulle nie geweet het ek sal kan doen nie.
Ek het nou self al gaan navorsing doen oor die siekte en waar ander mense is en waar Rian is amazing.
Elke dag. Ek is so trots op hom.
Ons het nie van ek gaan oor 2 jaar nie meer kan loop nie. Ons het nie daai, ons praat nie daaroor nie. Ons het gewone verhouding.
Rian and partner Andy are parents to 1-year-old Rian Jr.
Ons het daaroor gepraat oor dat ons sal wel eendag kinders wil hê.
There is a 50-50 chance that a child born to a person with FOP would also have the condition.
Ons het altyd saamgestem, ons gaan nie worry as dit 'n kind is wat FOP het nie. Dit gebeur, is een van daai dinge.
Rian was himself diagnosed with FOP when he was about 9 years old.
Dit was maar Van kleins af wat ons gedink het as daar's iets fout met hom.
Toe het ons baie dokters gaan sien reg oor Suid-Afrika.
Toe hy gediagnoseer is, toe is dit nou 'n ander storie.
Having been given no hope and nothing in the way of medical support, Rian's parents protected him from the details of a devastating diagnosis.
So dat alles weghou van my af. Hulle wou nie gehad het ek moet weet van dit nie.
Isolated and losing mobility, Rian eventually turned to the internet in an attempt to understand what was happening to his body.
Ek het eventually op het afgekom toe ek my ma gevra, is dit? Toe sê sy vir my, ja, dit is dit.
And what was that conversation with your mother?
Dit was maar moeilik vir haar.
Rian and Andy have not confirmed whether Rian Jr. also has FOP. But with the birth of their son came a clue.
Ek het eers vir sy toentjies gekyk.
Born with toes like his father, Rian Jr. has a classic symptom of FOP, malformed big toes.
My hart het so klein bietjie in my skoene gesak.
Ek het vir Rian ook in die begin gesê, as ek lief is vir Rian soos hy is dit nie asof ek lief gaan wees vir ons kind as hy so is.
En ek sien sy rugwervel voel asof hy so bietjie prominent is hier, soos jy gesê het.
The toddler is also stiff and develops lumps on his head which come and go and move around.
Ja, daai.
En ek voel niks van die been nog ergens op sy lyf nie. Maar die duime en die twinkies. Jy weet, ek dink mense het 'n genetiese toets nodig om te sê dis FOP nie. Wel. Kan dit kyk hulle hou van die ding.
With the confirmation of a diagnosis comes too the knowledge that baby Rian may lose mobility into the future, and the injury, no matter how minor, could result in extra bone growth.
Hy wil nie hy moet in 'n glaskas wees en sê mamma, hoekom kan ek nie soos daai kind daar buite speel nie?
Ek het van babatjie tyd af buite gespeel. Tussen die skape en die beeste en die varke. Motorfiets gery, vis gevang, gaan jag. En ek wil nie dit wegvat van hom af. Wat is my sout net?
This morning, we're headed off nice and early to the little town of Christiana. We received a lead from an article published like a year ago about this girl, I think 18 at the time, who was really struggling with developing extra bone, mainly on her legs, clearly not diagnosed and didn't have the answers that she needed.
We've seen some pictures and we've had a look at some of the x-rays, and we think she has a rare condition called hereditary multiple exostosis. So hopefully we can help and make a diagnosis and get her on the road to some kind of help.
I want to be a journalist because I like news and I do public speaking.
19-year-old Vuyelwa is a young woman with big dreams, trying to unravel the mystery of her condition.
Sy groei bene op ander bene.
I saw a lot of doctors. They didn't know what it is exactly.
Meer bene het gegroei en hulle het niks gedoen nie, maar hulle het net pille en salf gegee.
The fact that she was then lost to follow up again and just out in the community and still wondering, not knowing what this is. There's several issues along that pathway.
Toe ek nou weer moed opgegee.
It makes me lose my self-confidence.
Sy kan nie met die ander kinders speel nie of klere wat sy wil dra.
I can do debates, but then at the same time I'll be hiding my leg.
As daar miskien mense wat bietjie kom kuier of dan steek hy 'n beentjie weg. Dit is baie seer.
I didn't want people to just look at me like I'm some cripple.
Excuse.
I was struck by the the almost exhaustion, Mom had clearly been working very hard to get a diagnosis.
Finally, a doctor, herself lost for answers, made an unusual call.
Sy het nog die journalist die platte gegee en so. Die journalist het vir my gebel en toestemming gevra kan sy wie hulle se artikel so opstel dat die ander mense kan sien.
It's the article that led the Tin Soldiers team to Christiana.
There's a bump here. Any other lumps? One here. Okay, here's a big one.
She certainly has a form of enchondromatosis.
Is it growing in size still?
Yes.
All of them?
Alongside.
All of them are still growing.
This condition is a misprogramming of some sort which causes just additional bone to be formed.
Oh, here on the edge of your collarbone.
Once these extra bone lumps have matured and the child has stopped growing, there's a risk that they become malignant and they turn into cancer.
This is another big one, 10 centimeter base. And then here's a very big one. This one must be painful a lot of the time.
Yes.
And here's a big one at the back. Is this one painful?
Yes.
Here's another one.
1 in 50,000, that is rare, but it's certainly something a lot of doctors know about.
Okay, I'm just quickly going to look at the movement of all your joints.
You're really quite remarkable that she's gone this far without a diagnosis. They're very big.
It feels like the skin's almost pulling over it. Eh? So as you know, your skeleton is made out of bones. And this is, say, your knee bone.
For the first time after a decade searching for answers, a doctor sits this family down to explain Vuyelwa's diagnosis.
The whole body is made out of these cells. And that just means these things that are growing here are made up of cartilage and of bone.
He showed me a lot of things that the doctors didn't show me. You know, drawing the drawings. I understand more than before.
I'm not a doctor who does these operations, but my job is to get you to the right person who can help you with that.
At least maybe when I'm done with the operation, I could find my confidence. So I'm so happy for that.
Ek is baie bly want ek kan nou sien daar's nou hoop.
As one family embraces hope, another is faced with a life-changing decision. Rian's teeth are in trouble.
So druk jy die kos in en dan om.
Hierso, ek trek dit net so hier in. Dis hoekom hierdie tand so gebreek is.
With most of his teeth decaying, his gums inflamed, and the ability to open his mouth only 3 millimeters wide, the simple act of eating is a daily challenge.
Dis moeilik, ek sukkel, maar ek kom reg op 'n manier.
For Rian to undergo any kind of dental work carries the risk of trauma and flare-ups, which could make his condition worse. It's a case for global FOP dental expert Dr. Clive Friedman, on the line from Canada.
He's quite worried about his teeth.
Pictures you sent me, no wonder he's worried.
Yes, exactly.
Chris sent me pictures of your teeth, and I can see that they're all very bad.
Daar's nie een tand wat reg is nie, almal is stukkend.
Two options are both extreme options. The one is to leave his teeth as they are, but that then one runs the risk of additional flare-ups in the mouth and neck area from chronic infection of the teeth.
It might not be a bad idea, especially in terms of your long-term health, from the perspective of FOP, to actually have all of them removed.
Okay.
Other option is to take out all his teeth, but that is far from a straightforward procedure.
The general anesthetic is a complex process.
He'll need the involvement of a team of specialist anaesthetists, and so it's a massive undertaking.
Is there any chance that I could die from it?
I'm not going to lie, the answer is yes.
Dit het my bang gemaak, baie bang.
This is not going to the dentist to have a tooth pulled.
Maar ek het daaroor gaan dink en naderhand het dit vir my gevoel dit is vir my beter om dit te doen as om dit nie te doen nie.
That decision sets in motion preparations for the first surgery of its kind on the African continent, involving a multidisciplinary medical team from Cape Town.
And in him, we can't open the mouth, so we have to do an awake fibre optic intubation.
In conversation with their expert FOP colleagues from across the globe.
I recall one patient actually that had complete dentectomy.
He's got bony fusion.
There was always a challenge how to access the teeth.
Put like a 4x4 gauze into the mouth through that access area.
He was able to get in and do a relatively atraumatic extraction.
One more question.
There is a possibility of bone remodeling.
The risk here is the response of the tooth-bearing bone.
If, say, for instance, we cannot intubate them, do we bail out?
Patient safety trumps everything.
The principle of do no harm is central to the Tin Soldiers' mission.
We hear over and over again how many children are misdiagnosed and how many well-meaning, well-educated doctors do biopsies because they think that the lumps are a tumour, and then of course, FOP just explodes. So how many children are harmed and the condition is worsened when, if they just had an early diagnosis, that could have all been avoided. And that's what's inspired us to begin this work and journey into the unknown.
Hou jy van dokters?
Ja.
En hoekom wil jy dokter word? Wat wil jy doen?
'n Ambulans ry.
Okay.
En siek mense help.
En siek mense help.
The journey has resulted in the identification and diagnosis of children with other rare musculoskeletal conditions.
From 4 years of not knowing to 4 days, it just happened. We had our diagnosis.
Dit voel vir my te oppervlakkig, weet jy. Want hierdie goed is alles subkutaan en hierdie voel vir my intradermaal, soos ons sê. Kom ons draai weer om.
For 4 years, Desiree and Leonard searched for answers. Their son, Nathan, afflicted with extra bone growth and losing mobility.
Die vlek was groter geweest. Daai vlek was hierdie hele area.
Okay.
So dit was baie donkerder ook geweest.
Ja, die vlek. Ja.
So it was growing faster than what Nathan was actually growing.
So sy vel is so dun, ek sien hoekom jy bekommerd is. Mense wil amper nie daar raak nie, want jy is bang hy druk teer.
Want as hy in sy boetie speel dan
Ja.
dis
En dan lyk dit so fit vir deurskaaf.
Dan slaan my boetie my hier.
Ja.
Dan voel ek of dit wil uitkom.
Ag nee. Miskien moet julle nie so baie aan mekaar slaan nie.
Tests suggested that Nathan could have one of 3 genetic conditions, FOP among them. His parents embarked on a quest to raise funds and travel to the United States to consult with FOP experts. In April 2020, a journalist picked up on their story.
We took a look at the article and knew straight away that they didn't need to raise 100,000 Rand to connect with Dr. Fred Kaplan. He's one of the experts, in fact, on our advisory board. So it was a simple matter of connecting the dots.
I still remember you saying, if you email me the things by, promise you by tomorrow, everybody's going to know about it. And in the phone call, we could actually hear your phone going bleep, bleep, and you still said that's the communication from everybody.
I specifically remember standing in the kitchen with Daisy and we just stood there crying for a good 10 minutes.
Genetic tests confirmed a diagnosis of progressive osseous heteroplasia, or POH.
It is way more rare than FOP. And through this program, we find one in Africa, the first one in Africa. And for those parents, the diagnosis was almost everything.
To actually speak to the person that actually knows what's going on with your child, that was just absolutely amazing.
Let me see your hands. Can you make a fist? That looks pretty good, actually. Can you do just this?
Also, finally in good hands, is 15-year-old Unati.
The doctors, they couldn't find out what was it really.
Stand on your toes. Is that painful? Can you manage it? That's painful. Okay, stop. Now look all the way
She's
down.
trying to cope, but she's having a bit of an anger, if I can tell.
For 6 years, Dumasani searched for answers as he witnessed his daughter in pain and spiralling into disability.
Makes me feel so sad.
Hope came in the form of a suggestion from a concerned family friend.
She saw a program on the TV. Can it be that maybe we try to find out if maybe she might get help from your organization?
Doctors were planning to operate, if I remember correctly, in that week or the following week. So the first thing we were advised to tell them is don't operate. Let's take a step back and let's connect them into doctors within our network of care.
Doctors at Chris Hani Baragwanath Hospital diagnosed Unati with juvenile idiopathic arthritis.
For this condition, it's imperative to find the children. The kind of medicines we use to treat this are medicines that affect the immune system. You have to take this one. This is the most important medicine out of all of them. We give you some extra vitamins.
She is now receiving treatment and multidisciplinary care.
So you literally snatch someone from a future of wheelchair-bound, joint replacements, unable to walk, unable to function in society, and you make them a normal, strong, fit, healthy, happy, hopefully, human being.
It's the big week of Rian's surgical procedure to fix his dental work. It's a little bit of a touch and go because we're in the middle of a massive COVID-19 third wave scenario. He will consult today with the clinicians who will then make a decision about whether they go ahead with the procedure this week or not. Yeah, we'll see how things work out. Miserable weather.
Vanoggend moet ons die dokter gaan sien wat gaan kyk na my tande en kyk wat kan hulle doen en wat gaan hulle doen. Hopelijk dan is het goede nieuws dat hulle dit kan regmaak vir my.
It's lockdown, and really this is not at the moment an urgent procedure. The issue also is that we're cutting our list down in theatre. So we've had to kind of prioritize him.
After days of consultations and medical examinations, the clinicians make their decision.
Hulle het gesê daar's nie twyfel nie, hulle gaan voortgaan met die operasie.
Before dawn, on a rainy Cape Town morning, Rian prepares for surgery, as does the multidisciplinary medical team. Maxillofacial surgeons, a team of anaesthetists, as well as ENT specialists on standby in the event that an emergency tracheostomy becomes necessary.
The intention is obviously not to need to tracheotomy, to rather bail if we do.
COVID restrictions prevent the camera crew from entering theatre, so the doctors are equipped with cameras, and the Tin Soldiers team, along with international clinicians, can link in via Zoom.
Our airway was tricky in the beginning, but we're able to tube the patient fairly easily once we're beyond the nose. Sitting here, so once we need gently, hold on. I'm going to come there.
Okay, so the latest is the intubation has been completed and it was successful. So now is when Dr. Hein begins with the extraction of Rian's teeth.
He says he likes spicy food, but I think it's going to be like a spicy soup. Okay, we'll just stop it.
So it's been just about 2 hours since the actual extraction of Rian's teeth began. That is now complete. And the extubation, which is again when the anaesthetists get involved, has begun.
Al jou tande is uit. Jy kan nou lekker spicy soup drink. So it went well and it went according to plan. I think we prepared really well for the case. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Hello, Dave. Hello, how are you? Fine, and you? Good. I just wanted to let you know that They've done the extractions, but it's gone very well. It's gone very, very well. Yeah.
Thank you, Adi.
This is very exciting because the FOP model has shown us the power of this method of working and the power of connecting with people on an emotional level rather than just an intellectual, ethereal, scientific level. By the telling of that story, the potential impact magnifies 1,000-fold.